Thanks for checking out the Grisly Pear podcast. We are on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the notification icon. And if you're on iTunes, please go subscribe and leave a sexy or creepy review on there. I will be reading the best or worst reviews every week so long as they are 5 stars. So let's pick out a review. Oh, wow. Okay, I really like this one. It's from Gene Everett. And he says, this is the second best podcast in the universe.
What's the first?
I'll take it. I mean, I'm assuming it's Joe Rogan. But I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't assume anything. I'm so excited to have this guy on the show today. He has been a friend of mine for years. He is a comedian, producer, runs tons of shows at the Grisly Pear Comedy Club in New York City. He's also, I think, the number 1 or 2 barber in all of New York City. Kenny Warren!
Hey, what's up, Chrissy?
Hey!
How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay, feeling sweaty. It's like, it's fully July. It's like full blast summer.
Yeah.
I'm finally starting to believe that it's summer. I mentally wasn't there yet because part of me was still stuck in like March, April.
We all were.
Yeah.
We were all stuck, and yesterday was really the first time I went downtown.
Really?
Yeah.
Since March?
Yeah. I haven't been like moving around like that. I was like,
and you live uptown, right?
Yeah, I live in the Bronx, South Bronx. So I was like, I went like to Harlem a couple times just to do some bills and stuff like that. But I was like, nah, I'm staying home. I believe that it is a pandemic, and we just got to kind of be patient
and like wait it out. So yesterday was the first time that you went down to the city because you were doing a show at the Grisly Pear. It was the first show since March, basically, that you guys did?
Yeah, it was the first show since March 21st. They had a setup where the people are outside. They got everybody like the tables are like 6 feet apart. But I just think like they need to take it even another step. They should put sanitizer on all the tables. They already are, sterilizing the tables after each customer and all of that stuff. So that's a good thing. The tables, the chairs, and they have everybody outside like that. So, but they should put. This is what I'm gonna help them with. We're gonna put some stickers that are 6 feet apart out there, like they do at banks, to keep it, because people are gonna walk up and they're gonna watch the comedy. You know what I mean? Because it's a crowd, and people are gonna wonder like, what the hell is they laughing at and stuff. And then so, with that being said, it'll be dope that we'll be able to keep them safe, keep them apart, and because people want to see stuff. We saw that yesterday. I'll send you some pictures.
How many people came out, and how many people could you actually see?
It was about 25 people, and like they sat maybe about 15. But it was people that were sitting next door off the wagon that had repositioned themselves because it was pretty good.
This was like totally outside. So you're standing like where the comics hang out, and then where the barkers usually stand, like up against the front of the Grisly Pear. And so you're seating people in the sidewalk out in the street?
Yeah, they like extended out into the street. The cars can still come down, but like they're sitting, the seats are all the way like you can't park on that side.
Okay, because of the show, or they just never could park on that side?
Well, that's not really this place for loading and stuff like that for the bars. But they let people now have this outdoor seating so that they could be open and function.
And they have to take less loads. Sorry, I had to.
That sounded crazy. I was waiting for it.
No, this is good. Yeah, the Pear, obviously, like every restaurant and business wants to start getting some of this business back. So it's like places that didn't have an outside space, like the Grisly Pear, they're just making it happen. They're just doing it,
Yeah. So I see you've been keeping busy this whole pandemic, this quarantine. You've been doing shows. So
I've been doing a couple shows, just like secret shows, and but like they're seldom, right? It's like,
well, your shows. I'm talking about these shows like
oh
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
podcasting. I just was like, well, this is what I can control, and I discovered like I really like it, and I can reach people that I couldn't normally reach before, and I can get guests that I maybe wouldn't before. Like if I was just relying on when they'd be in New York City to get them on Wet Spot, it's like they may or not come into the city, and especially now, there's no clubs open in the city, and there's no like TV being made. There's like really not very much reason for anybody to come into the city. So getting guests is really tough now. So I found like, yeah, with this, it's easier to just like zoom it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have
Yeah.
you been doing like, is the barbershop open right now?
The barbershop opened, I think I've been there 2 weeks. I just did 2 weeks. So it opened 3 weeks ago, and I waited a week. I was like, let's see if numbers spike or anything like that. And like the numbers have been getting kind of controlled in New York to a certain extent. I mean, people, it's summertime and they're out. I see them out. Like last night, people were out and they're like in groups and stuff. And it's gonna be tough. It's because young people, they feel like they gotta move around. So, people are gonna be out.
Especially after being kind of cooped up for 4 months, and the things we would normally go out and do are like really just not happening. So people are like, well, I just have to get outside anyway. It sounds like you are a little bit maybe skeptical or worried about the virus. Do you?
I think it's real. I think the numbers may be a little skewed. I'm no scientist, but I I know people that have gotten it and have
Wow.
Yeah, I've only know people that have actually died from it. But I'm still taking precautions. Like I wear the gloves and the mask all the time, just for other people's, you know, you know, safety. And you know, I'm working around people, but they come in the barbershop. We have a temperature gun. We check their temperature.
Wow.
If the gun goes red, they gotta go. And it's happened more than once where we like, oh no, we can't cut you. You gotta go immediately. And so like, we're doing the same thing at the comedy stuff. We're gonna have sanitizer in between comics. I think that people should have their own microphones and we should just switch it out. And we should wear gloves during the shows. Just for right now. We do it, for the next few months, and once the numbers are almost,
How much are microphones? Like if somebody's,
man, you could get a microphone for $40.
oh really?
Those gold microphones I had all those years.
Yeah, you had a gold microphone.
I had like 10 of them. They only
Wow.
cost like $50 bucks. You can, all the comics smoke marijuana. They can take one day off and get a microphone.
Put some of that weed money towards a microphone. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a really good idea. And like once I start getting out, these backyard shows, like the secret shows, we're like sanitizing in between. But like, yeah, once I think I get back on the road, I'll definitely try to have my own mic. What? No, of course I will. Frank says what? I'm not lying. I think it's a good thing to have, just in case. I think it's a good idea. You never know. You also never know what's going to happen. Like somebody might get broken or. I didn't expect to be heckled on my own podcast.
Right. How many times have you been on stage though, and you accidentally like bumped your lip with the microphone or something? It's like, damn.
Yeah, over like the 10 years I've been doing it, especially at Stonewall. Oh my God, I would get the mic for the show. It would already be covered in lipstick from like the last night's drag show.
Oh.
It would just be covered in like any combination of like glitter, lipstick, just other kinds of makeup.
You got to get your own mic, and you might as well get a good one. Invest in one because people that work in comedy, like you work in comedy, you get comedy pays bills for you, and so you should invest in that because you'll get your investment back.
Like ASAP. I invested in this table microphone, and it was like I don't know. Maybe
is
like
that on Amazon?
it was this I actually got at Target. Actually the Target in the Bronx. It was like maybe it was like 120, but then because I had to wait an hour to get it, the guy knocked $10 off of it.
Yeah.
So because they were like they kept losing track of my order. They kept coming out and be like, "Are you microphone lady?" I'm like, "Yes," because I guess people aren't normally buying microphones. But yeah, that was an exciting day. But yeah, this has been like wholly worth it. And if you do a lot of podcasts, it's worth it to do it, because I just had so many people being like, "Chrissy, your sound sucks."
One now.
So
I'm gonna get one.
get it, Kenny, or
I
just
need it.
set up one of your gold ones.
Oh, the gold mic will be back. Don't listen. That's on the T-shirt. You know, the man got the gold mic on him and all that.
Yeah. So it's good. It sounds like you're taking every precaution for yourself and also for the Grisly Pear. Did you find that the people coming to watch the show, did they seem really nervous? Were they sort of like acting
They didn't have
skittish?
on masks. They were all sitting there in groups, and you know, people are ready for this to be over. You can tell it's just like
They're over it.
So many like little private events and rooftop this and that. Like people want to be out. We're used to being out, and we've been cooped up. So, you know, as the numbers start to, you know, lessen, people are just gradually. And New York people are like fighters, so they feel like they can beat anything anyway. So, I mean, the rest of the country spiking. New York is kind of, I don't know how, but they have controlled the numbers, and I don't know, man. I guess they just gotta just be patient and just be precautious. That's it.
Especially because anybody that might have normally had plans or travel plans or anything planned for the summer, it's like that's all been long canceled. So there's probably, you know, more people in the city that would have planned. But then there's also a ton of people who just like have left the city too, that fleed out of state or like to their parents.
What do you think about those people? What do you think?
Well, there's all different types, right? There's a group of people who like they have a second home elsewhere. I mean, mostly these people are not comedians, but like, yeah, the rich people are like, I'm just going to go to my country house. And then there's a bunch of people like, I'm going to go to the Hamptons. And then there was a bunch of people who just like don't normally live out there that went out there. Yeah. And then a bunch of people who went, I understand going back to your parents' place. Like if I was still in my 20s, kind of more brand new into comedy, and was still like living in like every apartment I've lived in the city has been like kind of shitty, and it was a roommate situation. I like lived with like some kind of stranger in a really small room. Like it's one of those roommate situations where like you can't really go out in the you know, you're not free to move about the whole apartment. You're really just like, it's your room. And it's like, if you go sit on the couch, it's going to feel weird. So I can understand, like, you know, if I felt scared, I would, and if my parents were still living on Long Island, like I probably would go back there. But I'm also like not in the city. People have been telling me that it feels more dangerous. So I just don't know what it's like. I haven't really been in yet, but I am going back in on Monday to do Wet Spot in studio. So I'm driving and I'm not taking the train, but I don't know. I guess I'm not super opposed to the train right now, but I don't know. Have you been feeling like it's a little bit more violent, a little bit more dangerous, or?
I mean, there's definitely been a lot of violence because the police aren't responding to like robberies and things like that, or like my girlfriend, her window got broken into her car, and she had to wait 5 hours for the police to come, and they didn't even. She flagged down the cop after all that time. It was crazy because the police drive up the block against traffic all the time, but when you call them for something like a broken window.
So you think normally in the past they would have gotten there sooner?
5 hours?
5 hours is insane. Yeah. But I don't know. I've never like, back when I was driving into the city, it's like I would just park it for one night, and I didn't really have a car in the city for like an extended amount of time. So, but that does seem That does seem like a really long. I think from what I've heard, like the cops are just like kind of afraid to do their jobs now, and they're just like they'd rather not get fired, and they're just sort of like very hands off on everything.
I don't know, man. It's just it's a weird time right now. I mean, okay, so all of a sudden we had a pandemic, people were stuck at home, and then everyone saw George Floyd get choked, killed by the police, and so now all of a sudden Black Lives Matter. Then all of a sudden Black Lives Matter turned into a KKK organization, according to some of these like Trump and different people. So I mean, honestly, it's right now you have to just kind of like sit back and be a human and use your common sense. Use your common sense. Like when people say Black Lives Matter, they're just saying stop killing us. That's it. It's not bigger than that. You got maybe people trying to build these stories and stuff, but it's not bigger than just stop killing us.
It's not a new movement either.
Oh, it's not new.
It's not like this is not a 2020 movement. It seems that I've noticed it just seems to come up every 4 years when there's an election. It gets kind of.
You're right. You're right.
And it's unfortunate. Like it's what started out as like a great movement, I feel like has been like completely co-opted by Antifa and like the radical left, and I feel like a lot of the true message has kind of gotten lost.
Well, I don't know if it's gotten lost, but I know that there's a lot of people with a lot of different narratives now. The message is the same. Black people don't feel like we want to overcome and white people and make them slaves. That's not what we think. We just want to just be treated equal. That's it. And with all that we've done to help this country grow over the years off free labor and, just menial jobs based on the fact that, we may be as accredited, but we just have to be twice as good to get the same position. Then, I mean, yeah, we should be able to say Black Lives Matter. I mean, it's 13% Black in this country. That's not a lot of people. And we shouldn't be looked at as such a dangerous problem since we've been such a vital part of the development of the country. And in all facets, from industry to entertainment to, now even medicine. So, I mean, I don't think I feel like we should just all appreciate each other a little more.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I think that's always the case. Do you feel like, Kenny, because you said, I think you said before, that you don't think it's about a kind of like, almost like a Black supremacy. You don't think Black people are looking to, like, you don't think the message of the movement is to, like, I don't know, almost like go back 400 years and role reversal. Do you feel like there are people in the movement who do feel that way?
No, those are radicals. Those are people who feel like, okay, we Black people, give us our own like city or state, we'll just do our thing there. And like every Black person doesn't feel like that. So that's not the message that's behind Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is simply stop killing these young Black men without probable cause. And then if you do, then be punished with severity and not just slap on the wrist. It's pretty simple. It's not about no takeover. I mean, I'm not taking over anything. I work at a barbershop and I cut half the comedy community, white people too.
Right. What would you say to people who their response to Black Lives Matter is, okay, well, I think mostly the movement was like, okay, started to, right, it's about, I think it was more about police brutality, but what would you say to people who their response to that is, well, what about the much higher percentage of Black on Black crime? What about what happens in Chicago and all these other more dangerous cities, like every single week and weekend? What's your response to to like people who say, well, you have to address the violence issues within your own community first.
We do have to address the violence within our own community. But at the same time, while we're addressing that, don't help us by killing us too. That's not, it's not like we could debate back and forth all the factors, but there's no race that has no crime in it.
Of course. Yeah.
If you start to break down the amount of crime that happens, and we're talking white collar crime as well, within what, I don't know what the percentage of white people is in the country, maybe 65% or something like that. I'm sure the percentage, but you never hear about anything called white on white crime.
I mean, there's plenty of it. You can look up the statistics. Yeah.
To look at things from a certain point of view. Everything has been written in books so that we go to school and we learn a certain narrative. And if you use common sense, it's kind of like, that don't really sound right. Like, wait, Christopher Columbus came to America and discovered a place that already had people living there? That sounds like invasion. You know, it's just the way you, and I used to get in trouble in school because I asked questions. I was like, well, it was already Indians there. It's like, well, they were savages. It's like, well, nah, they probably just spoke a different language, or they communicated in a different way, you know? I was just always curious. So, I mean, you know, it's people, we have to look at common sense of things and stop, you know, just being followers like we're on social media.
Well, it's so easy to be, I mean, that's kind of the point of social media is to be a follow, is to like follow and be followed. Like what examples do you think, like, cause you said like, okay, we are addressing black on black crime. Like in what ways do you think that's already happening?
Well, you got community leaders, right, that are having different forums and trying to figure out how to get the guns and stuff out of these young guys' hands and stuff. But when you go to a lot of these different places, like if you go to Atlanta, Georgia, you 18, you can walk into Walmart and buy an assault rifle, you know? So, you know, it's kind of, it just depends on what angle, you know, that you're talking about. Are you trying to take guns out of kids' hands, or are you trying to make sure that everyone has a gun to protect their families?
What do you think is the right way to, like, are you pro 2A?
Well, when I grew up, I had a gun license, you know, when I was in Oregon, and I carried a gun. So, I mean, I was younger. I don't know. Right now, I feel like maybe is the time where you do need a gun. You know?
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely anybody with a house, I mean, if I had kids, you know what I mean? Like, I just think like little kids or something, I don't know. I understand it. I understand it more so now than I did even like 6 months ago. I was like, oh yeah, I feel like a lot of people have changed their tune on that, because at the end of the day, like, especially if the cops are defunded or completely, you know, canceled, which I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't see it coming. Like you said, they do crimes within their community. So it's not like, even if things got bad, like all of a sudden black people would start trying to break into only white people's houses and stuff like that. I think that's the kind of stuff that people think that Black Lives Matter is about. It's not about that at all. It's just about you know, let's be honest, and let's treat these young black guys equally when they're assaulted, or if it's just like being pulled over in a car, you know. You grabbing guys, you taking them out the car. Like I said, I've been taken out of a car because I was driving with a white girl. She was driving, and they took me out the car.
When did this happen?
Oh, this was probably like maybe 2015. She did a U-turn.
Were you in the city?
Yeah, she did a U-turn on 116th Street, and it was weird because I was like, "Damn, you turning right here on 116." She was like, "Oh yeah, you know I'm white. I can get away with that."
Oh God, like, she actually said that.
As soon as she said that, and I was kind of like, "This is good
you
for her."
You shouldn't have said that, yeah.
But then when they pulled us over, they were like, "Oh, we smell marijuana. We know he's got it," and grabbed me, took me out the car. And it was like, "Wait, she's driving, like, and that was her marijuana." I was in her car, you know, and they checked me and I didn't have anything on me and they let me go. But they had me and they were like twisting my arm and trying to like, you know, put handcuffs. And I was like, hey man, I'm not resisting. And, you know,
Yeah.
I was like, get your camera out, man, because this is crazy. And she was driving.
Yeah, that's definitely really scary. Especially like pointing to her the whole time. You're like, that's hers. It's her weed.
Driving, and you ask her for her ID, not the guy. They come
Not the
over.
passenger, yeah.
They come over. They put the light in my face, and they would start tapping on the window. You know, get out of the car. It's like I'm not driving. They're like, get out of the car. You look like a suspect or something. I'm like, oh my god.
That sucks. Would you
The
say
things that they could say, you know, the
right.
things that they could just make up on the, you know.
How many times has that happened to you, like since you've lived in the city? Like something along those lines where you felt like, okay, wow, seems a little bit extra.
Well, maybe 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
A couple times, it might have been warranted, you know.
Why don't you think there is like a hashtag or, you know, more of a movement or like, here's the political reform for, you know, the black on black crime? Why do you think that is not as loud?
Well, it is this loud in the black community because we talk about it like in barbershops and all of that. Like that's the thing that we're like, man, we complaining about this, but we gotta stop killing each other, you know. And it's I don't know, man. It's a different generation too. They're a little more into drugs. They you know they do
Really?
yeah they do a lot of you know it's just free living. You know what I mean? They don't really have a lot of like parameters. They pretty much just do whatever they you know.
Like less disciplined, less like, because I remember when I was growing up, like, I don't know, drugs seemed so out of the question. Like, even if I were to get my hands on some or had a friend that had some, it was just like I would get my ass beat by my parents. Like they made my life pretty bad just for smoking cigarettes. And it was really more so like my mom and my sister. But so you feel like it's a lack of discipline or a lack of like maybe parental boundaries?
If you look at over this quarantine, I've been watching all these shows on Netflix and Hulu and all of that, and they all got the same narrative. All the kids talk crazy shit to their parents. They curse. They disrespect them. They all kind of. I just kicked my son out. He'd be 21 this month, and he had to go. He was.
You just did this.
This just happened like
Wow.
maybe 3 weeks ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He had to go. He had to go be a man now. You know, when you start talking man stuff to your father, that you know, is you don't realize you got free haircuts, you got a free place to live, you got free food, you got a dad that works all day and does comedy all night, so you have pretty much free run of a nice apartment, nice little, you know,
Yeah.
nice, you know, you can kind of see what's going on in here, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
nice,
it's nice. You have, you know way more bottles of alcohol than I do.
Did something. Let's see. You hear me?
Are you trying to flip the camera around?
No,
I don't know if you can do that in a Zoom.
Tap something. Let's see. Let me go back to. Oh, here I go. Wait a minute. What the hell?
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to get back to your screen.
Oh, the Zoom screen. Okay, I would say go to the bottom. I would say go to the bottom of your screen.
I am. Here I am.
Because we can still. Okay. So he's 21. What exactly what was the last straw? Like, was it something he said?
Well, so the last straw is when no, first I gotta give you the first couple straws because it's just it's like you're a young man. You have to, you know, my lady friend has been here quarantining with me the whole time, and you just doing stuff that you know you're too old to be, breaking stuff and doing, and it's like, all right, man, listen, you need your own space if you want to be able to do these type of things, and you're not being a team player, we quarantining, so we here stuck in this little space. We all got to be respectful of each other, or else you're gonna be in here mad, and it's nowhere to go. You know what I mean? So he just couldn't get that concept. He's just doing stuff like, you know, not washing his hands enough for me, or going in there and grabbing food with his hand. And I'm like, why would you have green beans in your hand? Well, I knew you was gonna say something. I'm like, well, if you knew I was gonna say something, then why would you do that? Like, we're in this apartment. I can hear what's going on. It's ridiculous that I gotta police you, and you a grown man really now. So, and he was like, well, you try to tell me what to do, and you never did nothing for me my whole life. And I'm like, wow, it was a pandemic, and you living here for free, and you just had steak and shrimp last night, and you talking like this. I said, you got to get your stuff and go, man. You got until the 21st, and you got to go. It was not no anger. It's just, if you think you could talk like that, you need your own space.
Yeah. So, was that hard for you to do?
No. Once he said that, that was it. It was like, hey, he got to be a man now. And so, he went back out west. So he's staying with my mom. And I hope the best for him. It's my son. But you can't. And then the next day, he was like, oh, can I get a haircut? And I was like,
oh my God.
Is he crazy?
You should have just given him a terrible haircut, Kenny.
I can't do it. It's just, but
wow, that's hard. So you think it just comes down? So that's an example of like, maybe a lack of respect, or, I mean, yeah, you're plenty disciplined. I would say you were, very generous, especially, the pandemic.
I've had him come down to the Grisly Pear and sell tickets and stuff. He's had every opportunity. He's comes to the barbershop once a week, gets his hair cut. He used to sweep hair off of people and make money at the shop. And, these kids they just different, I wouldn't have never talked to my dad like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my dad would I'm not going to say he beat the shit out of me, but like he definitely spanked me like plenty. And I, on one hand, I kind of did grow up to be like afraid of the guy, but I don't know. It also maybe kept me from doing things I shouldn't have, I hung out with like a couple of sort of sketchy characters, but would you say that the problem with this sort of generation of kids is a lack of parental discipline? Or is it more just like there's more stuff, there's more social media,
they're way smarter than what we were. Like,
yeah.
I was working with a speaking spell back in the day, or a speaking math. They got you put an iPhone in a 3-4-year-old's hand, and they'll be watching porn in like 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're just way ahead of where we were. But we were more like it's almost like we developed real skills, real like people skills, and they don't have a chance to develop the people skills that we did because they got these computers and they're always on the computer instead of like playing games and interacting and so it makes a difference with the like personalities and being able to like if it's a problem, like they shut down,
Yeah, that's interesting.
And like we like naturally troubleshoot, or just me, I take a step back first before I react, because I'm older and I know that any kind of reaction could lead to anything. And so,
yeah, I've noticed too, is like they shy away from challenges. It's like if they're not like already good at something, they're not going to just like figure it out, like try and fail. Like when I was a kid, I was a springboard diver. Like I started when I was like 9, 10, but like on the team at 11, and I would spend hours every day. It's constant failure. It's constant actually like physical pain when you slap the water. And it's like, right, there were no cell phones at the time. Maybe if I were a boy, I would have been more into video games, but that's just like my mom would just drop me off at the pool and it would be like, see you later, see you at dinner. But it was like constant. I think maybe that's why I'm still doing comedy, is like I'm you get used to failure and sucking for most of the time. You like suck for years, until you get good. And what I've noticed is like sometimes the kids, like they just, anything they're not already good at, it's like they're gonna make another choice. And it's like, how do
It's gonna
you
go viral. Just
get
one hitter
better?
quitter.
Yeah.
The overnight gratification. Just nothing that's like takes a long time to develop so that it lasts longer.
Right. And which kind of scares me, because what is that like play into, like music, any kind of learning an instrument, like reading any kind of a book that's longer than, I don't know, like 100 pages.
I'll give
I
you
feel
an
like that
example.
translates to.
Think about when you grew up, and there's certain songs that you can remember what year in school you were,
Mm-hmm.
and who you used to hang out with and all of that, right? Those songs that like really touched you. Now think about the last 10 years, and you can't think of too many songs that remind you of anything like that.
Yeah.
That are
But
just
is it because those songs meant more to us because we were younger and there was like almost like, I don't know, I want to say less going on, because like like when I was in high school, there was no like social media. Yeah, we just had like our friends and, go out into the woods and drink or something. So it's almost like there was no like, oh, it's almost like this huge chunk of worry about like, oh, do I have enough friends? Am I getting enough likes? It just wasn't even part of the
and
deal.
also when I look at it is that they were making music with instruments back then.
Yeah.
And so the sound was richer and more, and it touched our souls more. And now they're just using computers, and they could take a bunch of video clips like on ESPN and make a rap with a bunch of
Okay.
video clips. And so like it's to make music, they go in there and hit a few buttons now, and so it's like it's not so much passion with it. It's more like this is the formula that they use to make music.
Like, so you don't feel like the soul, right? Like when you're playing an instrument, it's like you are like removed from it. You're like removed from like the human creation of it. It's more like when it's done through like a computer. I mean, I don't really listen to much rap, so I'll have to like listen to some like modern rap and figure out what you're talking about. But like,
And music in general, like I
yeah.
mean, because we all grew up like, for instance, like Hall and Oates. You can listen to some old Hall and Oates music, and you'll be like, "Damn, that shit sounds good."
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays you just hear some little boy band, and they got the same sound of the last boy band. It's not the same.
Yeah. I know. I mean, like every generation is different, and it's like even the people like way older than us and like our parents and grandparents, like they would say that they grew up in the best time. But I don't know. I feel like the baby boomers really had it best because like there was no cancel culture, and also it seems like they all just got houses. Like it didn't take much to just like get a house. I don't know. I just feel like my parents would like just gave me a ton of shit all through my 20s, like and even like 30s. Like I would, I'd always try to buy like I don't know, like even not even a nice bed, just like buy a bed or buy furniture. My mom would always say like, wait till you're settled, Chrissy. And like she would say that because I would just be going from apartment to apartment, like renting. She would always like kind of like, living shame me. She'd be like, well, when you get settled and, when you're living somewhere real, then you can get nice stuff. First of all, it's like she wasn't keeping me from buying anything. I had all my own money. I was always working, but I just like, I hated to hear that because it's like, well, this is my settling down. Like, what the fuck is wrong with living in an apartment? So,
Yeah, it's different. This generation is a little more like, hey man, I don't want to have to deal with all that stuff of having a house right now. Maybe when I'm a little older, like right now, this next like maybe couple years, I might it's be about that time for me.
is there like any part of you that thinks maybe you would want to move out of the city?
Well, I I was only supposed to be here like 3 to 5 years, but it's been 16 years now. So I just like the stuff that I do in the city it's such a great uh platform for, and I mean, comedy scene is beautiful in New York. I mean, you got, you know, so many different places to perform. Um, and then, I started, getting my toe in the better places and all of that. And the pair was developing into, real real landmark for comedy over there on McDougal Street. And of course, the barbershop is always consistent. And it's like, I mean, this week I probably got like 10 new customers.
Oh, wow.
And
That's great.
yeah, like
Do you think
new
that's because
customers.
other places are not really fully open yet?
Now places are open, but like people have moved to New York. Some people's barbers died.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. Right.
yeah,
Because they're usually old men.
sometimes barbers die, and
Yeah.
just different stuff happens. And like, but I know this week I got like 10 new clients, and it's
That's great.
I'll be okay if it's even if like we gotta shut stuff down again and quarantine again. I'll just kind of have all my clients' information, and we'll stay in contact.
At least you know what to do now. And like Kenny, you took, and what you're saying about the Grisly Pear, for people who don't really know, the Grisly Pear was it was always a bar, right? There's a nice back room in this bar. It's like it's an old kind of like Irish pub, I guess. And there would be sporadic shows, years back. And when did you say that you thought, all right, I'm going to turn this into a real club? Like, how many years ago was that?
Well, we started July 2017, and it was other people that was telling me that, like, because I was just running a couple shows there a week, and it was people that was like, man, you're gonna end up, and I was like, man, I don't want that type of responsibility. I was like, just want to just produce a couple shows, whatever. But it just like the way things happened, and then Gabe and I, we worked together well because we so different, but both work hard, and we just like put together a nice like system so that like we can maximize the amount of shows and have comedians running the comedy club basically. So it turned out great. Crowds started to get just outstanding before this whole COVID stuff happened. So like hopefully we can get back to that type of thing. When we were in the process of even expanding to another location and putting
Oh, wow.
putting the same system into that place and calling it the dojo too. So yeah, we things is if things get back to normal, there's no telling.
Yeah, I can't remember a time I've done a show at the Grisly Pear and it hadn't been completely full. Like, you guys do such a good job. How do you think that McDougal Street is like basically the hub of New York City comedy? There's the Greenwich Village Comedy Club right there. It's the Comedy Cellars right there. The Village Lantern is right there. How do you think like the Grisly Pear has dealt with, like, say, the competition with all those different comedy clubs being basically on the same street?
I think the Grisly Pear, like, we like the scraps of the block. We got people out there on the streets. They selling tickets on the street, and because like Comedy Cellar, they do all their stuff online, so they always pack. They got the big names there. Greenwich Village is down the block. They've been there a while. Our setup is probably a little more conducive because we don't have any beams in the middle of the show, but that so we compete pretty solidly. I mean, we probably canceled less shows than beside the Cellar probably doesn't cancel too much ever unless it's something like COVID. But with the other, that Village Lantern and Greenwich Village, we were consistent, and then we were even expanding doing midnight shows all week long. So we was
Wow.
just trying to like work and use it as like a combine for hungry working comics.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember, this is like going back years, because the Comedy Cellar actually has 2 or 3 locations kind of in that immediate area, that Second Avenue subway stop area, because originally it was Comedy Cellar and then Greenwich Village Comedy Club, and Greenwich Village would be the main scrap sucker, right? From all, like, they would get the majority of the Comedy Cellar runoffs, and then the Comedy Cellar basically got wind of that, and that's when they opened the Village Underground around the corner, and then I think also then later on like the Fat Black Pussycat. I think that's what the third venue is called, and they're kind of right next to each other. So it's interesting to see how that's progressed over the years, and how like each club kind of responds to the competition, like, oh, like they want to keep more of their own people. But I think Grisly Pear is that it's such a good location, and it's like just such an open, like it's visually very open, and there's always like people out front and welcoming faces, and it's like come in, and like you guys don't slack off at all, you know, in terms of like barking, you know. It's like I think you guys have a good strategy. Do you feel like HBO's crashing? I think the pair was featured on the
Yeah.
show.
Well, that's what we kind of. I remember when we first like kind of took over the operations and Crashing was like on HBO, and we were like, well, we could just use that as like a jump off for us, you know, starting a whole new regime and all of that, saying, you know, that Crashing was filmed here. And so we did that. That didn't really, I mean, you know, it didn't really make that big of a difference. I think the location, it makes a big difference. And then also we really did a lot with transforming that back room into, you know, it's like a museum of comedy now, almost, with all the big, you know, posters of the comedians, and you know, new sound system and lights and tables, the whole nine. We just basically revamped the place, and it's 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 it's, it's nice when that place is packed on a Friday, Saturday night, 8, 10 o'clock. That is amazing.
Yeah, it is. Whose idea was it to put up, like, to blow up the photos of the comics?
Well, I got that done. I thought that, like, I was always like, you know, my little company is different shades of comedy, and so that's how I've always kind of pushed. You know, I want a, you know, diverse lineup. So when you look at all the different comedy clubs in the city, most of them is like, yeah, you got a couple black dudes on the wall, but not really.
Mm.
And now we got every, you know, shade, creed, color, sexual orientation. I mean, everybody that's working hard and, you know, uh, a solid comedian, working comic, you know, not just a comic at the Grisly Pear, you know, a comic, you know, that's working at other places as well, road comics. Um, and, you know, we show them some love by putting them on the wall. People appreciate it, man.
I've heard in the past that the Cellar comics are forbidden to perform at like Greenwich Village. I know that's been like a years long kind of understanding. Have you heard that that's going on with the pair, that like if comics perform at the Cellar, they can't perform with the pair because of the competition?
I performed at the Cellar 4 times. I did Black 3 times, and I did Village Underground once. So, like, I don't know, people say all kind of stuff, but I mean, if you're a comedian and you know, I don't put comics names on the flyers that perform at the Cellar out of respect, because I understand, you know,
Okay, that's
that they
smart.
have that whole thing going on. But shit, every comic in the city wouldn't mind coming through there and getting paid and performing on a packed show. I've seen all kind of comics from the Cellar come in there and check it out, and if I nudge them, like, hey, the, people going on stage for a nice handshake.
Who would you say are like the biggest names that have dropped by the pair?
Oh, Judah Friedlander, Tony Woods, uh, let's see, oh man, who else?
Chrissy
Who else?
Mayer
Chrissy
sometimes.
Mayer, sometimes. Um, Yamanika Saunders dropped in before for us a couple times. Who else? Mm,
Do you get a lot of people from out of town? Do you get a lot of people like reaching out to you, hey, I'm going to be
a lot of
in the
that, a
city back?
lot. But
Yeah.
you kind of gotta, like, you know, as a producer slash booker or whatever, you gotta. It's a little different. Everybody's reaching out to you from somewhere and saying that, you know, they do this and they. But if somebody that has been working with us previously says, hey, I got a friend that very funny dude, good person, you know, we'll give them a shot. Usually, that's just, it. All goes by who you know. Uh, but or you know, if somebody is just like a comic that we see he's got a Netflix special or something, like, you know, yeah,
That helps. Yeah.
those are the type of people that like we've been working with. You know, we've had guys like Neil Nanda. He's got a special coming out this year. Um, a bunch of like PDD Abreu. He's done
Yeah.
some. You know, he's all the time at the pair. So we get good. You know, I think our first headliner. I mean, we had Joe DeVito.
Oh yeah, I know Joe.
Yeah, we've had what's my boy Joe Bartnick.
Hmm.
Uh, so we get some guys that come off the road. Pretty cool.
Have you noticed people treating, like, I'm talking about comedians, right? Like, start to treat you differently as the pair has picked up and gained popularity and become a real comedy hotspot? Have you noticed comics treating you differently or kissing your ass more or?
You get both.
Mhm.
You get both because like I got a troll that's been trolling me for like 2 years. You know, just putting all kind of stuff online. Like if I
What,
was doing
Facebook,
this,
Twitter?
Facebook, Twitter, um,
Do you know them? Are they a comic?
yeah,
Or
I
they're
know 'em.
okay?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say their name because it's just gonna make them,
Okay.
you know. But yeah, I got that, and I got, of course, you know, there's people that kiss ass a little, but not much, you know, because you know it's different when you like. I'm not like I'm a comic, and I'm also like on the scene and stuff. So you know, I'm like easily accessible. They don't have to, and also I kind of, you know, got a little chip on my shoulder. So most people,
Yeah? Why do you think you have a chip on your shoulder?
because man, people be being disrespectful. Like I get so many things people have told. I had a girl come to me and say, it'd probably be in your best interest to put me on the show, and it's like,
Like a
what?
threat? Like a
Yeah.
threatening, like, you better book me or else? This
No,
is
but
a,
she came to
wow.
my like midnight show and it was like packed, and she was like, "Hey, you think I can get up?" And I was like, "Nah, this is full." And she was like, "It'd probably be in your best interest to put me up." And that kind of stuff just makes me be like, I just want to be like that dude that
Whoa.
don't even talk to about like if we not on the show already, like you just say what's up to me and keep it moving because they know that I'm gonna be like,
Was this a well-known comic? Was this somebody with great
no,
credits?
nah,
Like, what level of comedian are we talking here?
like like a Village Lantern comic.
Like a 2 to 4 year,
Maybe,
not even?
but like
Yikes.
not
That's a lot of confidence.
not somebody that I'm like booking regularly. Like
Yeah. Wow. So what did you say to her?
I was like, this I don't know who you've been dealing with, but you gotta get out of my face with that. And then some dude comes over and he's like, "Hey man, you probably should put her up." And I was like, "I don't even know your name." And I was like, and
Wow.
you know, I don't even know why you talking to me. I don't even know your name. So whatever.
That's
And that's
wild to me. And then you think, like, who has that worked for, right? Because it's like people continue behaviors because they work. And it's like, where are you going where you can basically bully your way into a spot? That's crazy.
I know, but like, what would make you think that you could bully me? Like, I don't know. It was just crazy, and it's like, and I get stuff like that. You know, people come in there, they be like, "Oh, I sent you a message," and I was like, "Yeah, I get a lot of messages. I haven't gotten to that yet." So, you know, just coming here and running up to me is not like I'm still busy doing all my stuff. I'll get to that message eventually. You know.
Yeah, it's really hard what you're doing, and I really like respect and appreciate it because it's people don't realize like how hard it is. It's like you're usually either a producer or a comic. You're one of the few people I know who's really good at doing both, and it's because you have Gabe and you have a team of people supporting you. Have people given you shit for being a producer and a comic?
Mm, I'm not really like the way. If you look at it, most of the comics that like have created their own lanes in the city, they may not be like in all the comedy clubs, but they're like having kind of much more success. You know,
Yeah.
like some people just want to be passed at all the comedy clubs. That's cool. That's fine. But at the end of the day, you have to create some type of following. Is what it's
Exactly.
really so like. Can you move the crowd? Is what it's all about. Like you can be a great comic, but if nobody is wants to see it, then is it really a use for that? You know, you have to create a buzz for yourself and make people interested in seeing what the hell you're talking about. So you got to deliver too once you get the people out there.
So as a producer, what are the things that you look for, like for people like listening who maybe just have no clue? It's like, are you looking at Twitter following? Are you looking at how much content someone is producing? Are you looking at credits? Or is it more just like the word of mouth?
It's a mix
Mm-hmm.
because it's some people that like you can look at their credits and and you can see that maybe they're an actor, so they might not be that funny on stage, you know. And then there's some people that you can look at your timeline and see that they're on a bunch of shows, and you can look in the comments and see that like they crushed. Uh,
Oh,
or you
that's
can go,
interesting. Looking at the comments. Okay. From like a
or you
show
can,
posting or
yep,
something. Mm-hmm.
or you can go to their YouTube and see what the hubbub is, and you can see for yourself. And you know, I do all that stuff. I want to check and see like, and word of mouth is pretty solid too. But you know, sometimes I just check for myself, see what you know, see how talented they are.
What do you think is the hardest part about the juggling, like comic and producer? What's like the biggest
Um,
challenge?
it's just dealing with so many people, you know, because you got to work with people sometimes that you don't like, you know, because I'm not working alone. So it's guys that's like Gabe Dorado might be cool with this guy over here, but this guy is, uh, you know, this is the troll guy. You know what I mean? You know, you know, I don't expect you know people to you know if I have an issue with somebody, they have one as well. So
Has Gabe booked the troll, or is this just
uh,
somebody that has never been
nah,
booked?
nah, that dude is banned. But but you know, it's just like I'm just that was just giving you just a
Yeah, an example.
hypothetical situation, like. But yeah, man, it's just crazy though. You know, it's crazy. The stuff that the dude is doing is so like menial and trivial, like but it's just annoying, and you know people don't stop. He's been doing stuff during the pandemic, and I'm like, man, you should be trying to just live, like. And
Yeah,
I
you should
never
organize your
respond. I never
closet.
respond.
That's
Yeah, I
good.
never respond because I'm like, that would be giving him too much smoke.
Yeah, yeah. I have trolls too, of course, and like a lot of them are people I know and have met, and like it's so weird. And then people are like, well, you got to not respond because he used to be addicted to heroin. You know, you got to understand, oh, this person just like lost their wife. And it's like, okay, that works for like the first time. But I'm like, I know this is like now fourth, fifth, sixth time. It's like that. Guess what? Who else has bad shit happen to them? Everybody. So it's like, you kind of have to grow up at a certain point. And like, usually I won't respond, but if it is somebody I know and have met, and I'm like, yeah, buddy, come on. I don't know. It's frustrating for sure.
Yeah.
It's like you want to be the bigger person, but sometimes it is fun to kind of like roast them back. And I don't know, the pair is like it's a lot of responsibility because the pair is really like a big I think social scene. It's like it's just the main center focal point of comedy in the city. And there have been some like fights that have broken out there over the years, like comic on comic fights, random bar fights. Did you ever have to like get in the middle of any of that and break it up?
Do security.
No, just okay. Okay, that's good.
Step back and be like, I got my money on him.
You're like, I'm not gonna lose a tooth over this. Yeah.
Ah, man, nah. And you know, it's 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 so crazy, man. That it's doing the job that we do. You got to get into confrontations with people that's like just customers because they like you know may try to just walk back into the show. You know, people trying to you know do stuff with tickets that you know it's a trip. People are a trip. But you gotta. That's why you gotta be patient. You gotta always take a step back because you're gonna have situations every single day.
And it's really, it's more than just being a comedian and a producer. It's like you wear so many hats. You're like crowd, crowd relations. Sometimes you'll seat people. It's like, you probably, if you have angry customers write to you that something went wrong, it's like, I'm sure you have to answer those at some point too, right? You have people trying to sneak in, right? If there are fights in the showroom, or have you ever had to like pull out any heckles or kick out hecklers or?
Time. You got to get them
Yeah.
out early too, because you can get a heckler. You can tell who's gonna heckle when the host is up the first time.
Oh yeah, how can you tell?
Because they feel like it's an interactive show. They saying stuff back for everything the heckler. I mean, the host says they're responding like it's just them and the other person.
Like it's a two-person, yeah.
So
if they're chatting right away at the host,
give them a warning.
Okay.
Give them a warning, because sometimes you could, and then sometimes you can see them when they come in. They're just like belligerent already, and if once you give them a warning, you just got to get them out of there. Give them their money back, and the show will be so much better without a heckler.
Yeah,
But some hecklers are good, man. There's some funny ass hecklers out there.
But I agree with you. It's good to get them out early, because I think a lot of times comedy clubs, like, they wait too long and they're afraid of pissing off a customer, or they don't want it to be a bad Yelp review. But it's like the whole show suffers because of it. And every comic waiting to go up is like, ugh, how am I going to deal with this person? How much of my set do I have to spend, fighting them off? And it especially sucks if you're trying to get a tape that night, or you have somebody watching you. So it's good that you get them out right away. I find like the hecklers it's like somebody who's drunk already, but also the kind of person that's like, they can't handle, like, I'm just thinking, a lot of these girls that I've seen, like, they just can't handle not having like the full attention for like an hour and a half. Like, they just can't sit there. Or it's like dudes too. It's like they just are not comfortable with it not being about them or not being involved in some way. So, but yeah,
those people.
I even miss the hecklers now too, though. That's what this pandemic is doing to me. It's like, I miss the hecklers. I miss like just nothing but fried comedy club food. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think the future holds for comedy? What are your fears?
I don't have fears so much as I just think that we just got to be patient, and we got to be precautious. You can't change what the state of emergency that the country and the world has went through the last few months. But one, we can't crawl into a cave and just give up.
Mm-hmm.
But we just gotta just face this situation very precautious, and let's ease back into it. Let's ease back into it. I got a little scared when D.L. Hughley passed out on stage. I was like, man, I was supposed to go do a show in
crazy.
PA.
Yeah, when did that happen? Was that March, April?
This was June.
Oh no, okay, no, it was even more recently than that. Wow.
Because I was supposed to do a show in PA June 26th, and I was like, no.
Right, because he passed out, and like he didn't know why, but then he went to the hospital and it found out he had like low key corona, I guess.
Yeah. Corona light.
He was having a corona light, but I think he's better now. But yeah, that was
better
really
now,
scary.
But it's still, that's scary. I'm not celebrating my birthday this year, but I'm in my upward 40s. And
what do you mean you're not celebrating your birthday? You're just putting it off till pandemic's over?
You can't just take 4 months out of my year.
Right. Oh, wow. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, this is just like I was quarantined. That's just like jail. So people in jail don't age. So I'm not.
It's like a sci-fi movie. I actually think that's a really good idea. Like, if you have a birthday in quarantine, like, you're exempt. Like, you get to lie about your age like one more year.
Yeah. My birthday is next month, and we will still be wearing masks.
Yeah, that sucks. Right, it's August. Don't tell me, 15th. Yes, I'm a good friend. I'm a good friend.
You good, girl. You good.
Aw, I miss you, buddy.
Grisly Pear.
Yeah, Kenny Warren, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at the average black man. Monday nights, I got this sports talk show called
Ooh,
Blazing Trails with a Roadrunner. I went to
that's
Cal State
new.
Bakersfield Roadrunner. Yeah, so I've had Mario Ellie, Allen Houston, Rod Strickland, Damon Stoudemire, Bonzi Wells, Derek Anderson, um, Dale Davis, and
Are
Rasheed
these
Wallace.
football people?
These are basketball NBA guys. And this Monday, tomorrow, I got Scottie Pippen. And then I got a weekly show on Thursdays at 9. Check for that on Instagram Live. That's that's a StreamYard. That's the weekly show, the Bronx Weekly Show, with my co-host Chablis Quarterman. So
Oh, it's
check us out.
Chablis. I know Chablis.
Yeah, Chablis, her son, is the funniest thing of the show. He shit on her bed a couple weeks back.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, he's a little guy, about
Yeah.
2 or 3. Yeah, he took
Yeah,
a
I've met
dump
him.
on the bed.
What, like pulled his pants down and just shat on her bed? Just threw
On her
his
bed was just
pants.
a little. It looked like she had a cat at her house.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah,
That's awesome. All right. Follow Kenny at Average Black Man. That's what, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
all that.
all the things. Yeah. And check out this new show if you're a sports person.
Yes.
Kenny, thank you so much for doing it. I
Thank
hope
you.
to see you very soon.
Grisly Pear.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.